I watched pretty much every single one of Caitlin's games early on because I am a fan. I do like the basketball. And of course, I wanted to see how she would do. Coming out of college and going into the WNBA, we as WNBA players were having basketball conversations. And everybody just took it to another place where we were attacking them as...
It wasn't Clark's fate to put up with this mess. Rather, it was a strategy devised by people who couldn't handle her taking the limelight. Sue Bird just revealed the WNBA's covert plan to eliminate Caitlin Clark from the beginning. No, this wasn't some oops bad calls happen situation. Rather, it was a full-blown pre-planned circus with technical fouls, racial undertones, and blatant targeting.
And it actually, we talked about this before, like the fan that went hard at Caitlin at the Connecticut Sun game in game 1 or 2, I can't remember, where there was an interaction where the fan almost got ejected. It's like, none of this is okay. And we never accept it. We never accept this on the men's side.
Because jealousy and drama seem to be the WNBA's new playbook, Kathy Angelbert and her team of referees knew exactly what they were doing. Why support a rising star when you can throw her under the bus for a little extra controversy and ticket sales? Thanks to Sue, the dirty laundry is out, and things don't look good.
Is it okay in our league? Why is it, welcome to mainstream sports?
And don't worry, Sue didn't reveal the WNBA because she had strong feelings about it. I feel sorry for Caitlin Clark because, let's not fool ourselves, it was a glorious unintentional slip-up. But who is complaining? We have the juicy details we always suspected were bubbling beneath the surface, and now everything makes sense, especially in light of Bird's recent, not-so-subtle, remarks that, let's be honest, have done nothing but disparage Caitlin Clark's record-smashing rookie season. You know, the one where she practically set the league on fire with stats that most players couldn't even imagine.
What was coming? This wasn't a surprise. And not just the comments that the commissioner made a few weeks ago, where she basically implied that the racial tension is good for business and invoking Magic and Bird.
However, Sue chose to brush that off as if it weren't a huge deal on her podcast, calling the league's success a team effort. Sure, Sue, teamwork makes the dream work and all that, but please don't act as though Clark didn't just introduce the WNBA to a whole new audience.
Television ratings, high attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized it.
The tone was quickly picked up by critics as well. Was that just Bird being philosophical, or was she subtly criticizing Clark? That sounded like an attempt to dampen the spirits of someone who has been stealing the show and shattering records with ease.
It's not good for business. It's never good for business. And sort of sidestep the question about racism and misogyny and hate that the players are receiving online, basically saying like, don't go on social media, or, it's sort of not real.
And then there's the nagging suspicion that this might not be merely harmless remark. Is it jealous discomfort? After all, Clark's rise hasn't been subtle. Rather, it's been meteoric. She's accomplished in a year what some players never come close to in a decade. And let's face it, for someone who's been around as long as Bird watching a rookie steal all the attention, it could be something a little more personal, or just tough love from a veteran. It may sting a little, but this is where the heat truly builds. The larger question goes beyond Bird's remarks and concerns whether the WNBA's leadership was covertly trying to prevent Clark from becoming overly prominent. This may be a conspiracy theory, but let's also consider facts like the fact that Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-generation rookie, received the news of her Rookie of the Year award over the phone during practice.
Obviously, not every, they're humans, looking at technology. Basketball is a little more complex than tennis, for instance, around technology of officiating. So we're looking at a variety of different dimensions.
Before a playoff game in Connecticut, there is no fanfare or celebration. Just congratulating her over the phone, as if her dry laundry was ready. Doesn't that say, we don't want to make a big deal out of you? I'm not sure what else does. And then there's the officiating.
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball.
Oh, The officiating the referee actually labeled it disrespectful to the game when Clark received a technical penalty for lightly slapping the backboard in frustration after missing a basket, although veterans like Diana Taurasi have performed worse and hardly received a sidelong glance from the officials.
Carter nearly picks off the pass, and Diana Taurasi, they'll count the bucket.
It seems like they had one set of rules for Clark and another for everyone else. And the double standard is so obvious that it might as well be surrounded by neon lights.
Coming out of college and going into the WNBA, we as WNBA players were having basketball conversations, and everybody just took it to another place where we were attacking them as people.
The signs keep coming in, and they paint a picture that is not only concerning but also infuriating. Was the WNBA attempting to control Clark out of concern that her quick rise would overshadow their carefully crafted narrative of collective growth? If so, that is a decision that is as perplexing as it is counterproductive. Clark is not a threat to the league. Rather, she is its greatest asset, attracting new fans, increasing ticket sales, boosting TV ratings, and providing everything the league sorely needs. But rather than celebrating her, it appears that they are afraid to let her shine too brightly.
And that's, again, where that petty and jealousy lives.
But here's the worst part. The WNBA wouldn't have experienced the current wave of excitement without Caitlin Clark. So even though the leadership may believe they are defending the brand, they are actually hurting themselves because the players are the brand. Without them, the league wouldn't exist, there would be no audience, and there would be no future. The quiet announcement of Rookie of the Year and the dubious officiating substitute the message sent by the Birds' contemptuous remarks is as clear as it is annoying. Slow down. Caitlin don't upset anyone, but they must confront this reality. Whether they like it or not, Caitlin Clark is leading the league to new heights and doesn't just rock the boat, she is the boat. If they can't accept that, they will be the ones to sink.
There's one thing I want to reset, that we want to reset, and it's the language being used around fans. Fever fans, Caitlin fans, new fans. That actually has to go. That has to go. I understand why at times it's been used. It's kind of just when you're in an interview and you get asked a question, it's kind of easy to go, oh, the Fever fan base.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? That has to go.
Oh, these new fans. It has to go because it's not the Fever fans. It's not Caitlin fans.
The NBA's commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, has a knack for stirring things up and not in a good way. Her leadership style is akin to that awkward relative who always says something embarrassing at family get-togethers. One example is her obsession with rivalries as the league's ticket to relevance. The most obvious and disastrous example is when she framed Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese as the next big thing in basketball rivalries. Think Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird, but make it needlessly racially charged.
When you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry.
Indeed, in a CNBC Power Lunch interview, Engelbert boldly mentioned that Clark is white and Reese is black. Hey, doesn't that make sports exciting? If Engelbert's intention was to evoke nostalgia, she hit the wrong nerve. Instead, she received a flurry of criticism for using racial dynamics as a marketing gimmick. Let's break this down. Fans and analysts immediately called her out for being tone-deaf, accusing her of reducing two extraordinarily talented players to their skin colors rather than showcasing their skills. The worst part is that both Clark and Reese have experienced repulsive racist attacks both online and at games.
White, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another. It's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago.
Since nothing screams progressive leadership like leveraging racial conflict as a selling factor, and labor literally threw gasoline on the flames rather than addressing that. This made matters worse for both parties. Correct criticism arrived on their podcast a little more quickly than a Clark three-pointer. Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe weren't holding back when they attacked Angel Bird, accusing her of putting gaudy marketing ahead of player safety and mental health. Rapinoe essentially said that racial conflict is beneficial for business, which summed up what everyone was already thinking. Bird also said that the leadership seems more focused on making headlines than addressing pressing problems, such as the hostile surroundings that players deal with on a daily basis. You know, the kinds of things that really count.
WNBA's perspective. The WNBA and the league office and Kathy's role specifically is basically to protect and shepherd the league, both from a business perspective, from a player welfare perspective, from a health and safety perspective, and from a growth and investment perspective. And this is where I feel like...
And let's not overlook Engelbert's best examples of useless counsel. When gamers were confronted with hate speech and poisonous discourse, her astute suggestion was to advise them to avoid social media. It's a move so out of touch that it might double as a meme, and Labor's retort is essentially, have you tried logging off? Players encounter racism and misogyny on a daily basis, so genius, right?
I did not come out of college with the same level of popularity, scrutiny, all of it. Nobody has. Caitlyn is one of one. There's zero doubt.
However, the problems extend beyond her racially biased marketing blunders. In a marketing meeting, Engelbert's obsession with rivalries may seem like a good idea, but in practice, it reduces complex athletes to cheap narratives, and when those narratives rely on race, the harm is multiplied. Rather than showcasing Clark and Aryi as trailblazers for the league's future, Engelbert has made them into symbols of division, diverting attention from their talent and toward needless controversy. Engelbert's entire leadership strategy has been criticized for being more about optics than substance.
Continuing to impress and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant.
The fact that this strategy is escalating fan wars doesn't help. With her remarks regarding toxic Caitlyn fans, Bird fanned the flames by claiming that the newcomers were at odds with the league's established community rather than acknowledging the WNBA's increasing appeal. Instead of bringing fans together, Bird's comments came out as condescending and alienated them. Critics have noted how this narrative of fan toxicity just serves to widen gaps and turn what ought to be a celebratory occasion into yet another source of conflict.
They decided that they were going to let her know she was Rookie of the Year with a phone call in Connecticut during a practice before a playoff game. You can't make this.
The irony here is that, despite the WNBA's long-standing positioning as a progressive league that values diversity, inclusion, and player voices, Engelbert's strategies are undermining that reputation more quickly than the league can repair them by appealing to racial tropes. She is endangering years of advancement and fostering an atmosphere that is not only detrimental, but also counterproductive. Both players and supporters are wondering if the league's leadership truly reflects its stated ideals. The bottom line, Engelbert's obsession with rivalries and trivial drama is not only bad PR, it betrays the values of the WNBA, and if she doesn't change her refocus on the important things like safeguarding players, promoting unity, and recognizing talent, this so-called leadership may lead the league down a direction from which it may never fully recover.